Hey there, happy Wednesday, hump day. It is Wednesday and we are still in Women's History Month. We are still in the month of March 2023 and I am committed to coming live every Wednesday for Women's History Month to talk about a topic that will really uplift and empower women, women in business, women in career, women period, as we navigate through these times and we level up to our next level divine assignment. I am Kim Dixon. I'm a leadership and business development strategist, consultant, coach, international speaker, and I am passionate about women, economic advancement, and helping women ask for it using her skills, abilities, and talents to really go get what's hers and demand the proper compensation for her contribution that we make. Because we all make a phenomenal contribution, but sometimes the compensation doesn't match the contribution. And sometimes you need to get support because there may be little things that you don't know that someone else has already went through and that they could support you in that area. It's just like if you're playing a video game and you have never been to level 17 on the video game, but someone else has achieved that level and they know the code to get to the next level on that video game. That is the type of support that you can get when you hire coaches and consultants to help you level up, to help you really step into the assignment that is next for you. Again, it is still Women's History Month, and this month we have been talking about topics of pay equity. We've been talking about being positioned to win, being in a winning circle, that winning is a vibe, and how do you position yourself to win? When we're talking about being positioned to win, we talked about the 5 C's, just a little review. We talked about having the clarity that comes with the assignment, having the courage to step out as you are in the winner's circle, having the courage to step out and do that thing that you're called to do. Connection was the other C of the 5 C's. Connecting to other amazing human beings that are supposed to go with you along the journey. And at that time, I invited you to my new Facebook group, Iron Sharpens Iron, where we are doing that connection, that we are sharpening one another and helping each other get to that next level assignment and positioning ourselves to win. That was the third C. So it was clarity, courage, connection, conditioning to make sure that we are focused on conditioning ourselves, creating repeatable processes, having the discipline to show up again. Like I committed to showing up every Wednesday in this month. And some Wednesdays, like today, I was talking myself out of it, but it's part of the conditioning and it's part of the discipline that's required if you want to be in the winner's circle. If you think about any champion, pick a area. You can pick sports, you can pick politics, you can pick whatever area. If you think about any champion, that champion must have some form of conditioning and some form of discipline in order to continue to win. And we are destined to be in that winner's circle. And then the last T was commitment, to make sure that you have the commitment to stay there through the end, to stay there through the end of the process, through the win, and then preparing yourself again for the next win. As we change seasons, we are into spring, a couple of days into spring. And then I talked about last week, what's in your hand, as we are still focused on women being worthy of her hire, focusing on what's in your hand. What do you already have available to you? What connections do you have available to you? What skills do you have available to you? What talents do you already have available to you that could help you along the journey? And in that, I talked about the 3 ways you could use what's in your hand. I talked about you could refocus, you needed to restore, focusing back on what is actually in your hand to restore. restoring your love for your craft, restoring your love for your business, because you may have gotten away from the original intent of you in that career. Maybe you're on the career path of getting to the next level in your career, and you've gotten a little bit weary. Getting weary is part of the process, right? And we have to trust the process. And I believe we have to trust God's plan in trusting the process. So restoring and then reconnecting. Who is it that you need to reconnect with? Where is that connection that you've lost and you need to reconnect? And again, we're going to use those three again this evening: refocus, restore, and reconnect. Where is it that we need to reconnect? So I want to take a moment and just make sure that I am live on my page. Give me a second. And in the interim, if you're here live, you can say hello. And if you catch the replay, just hashtag replay and say hello on the replay. That'll be just fine. All right. So today we're going to talk about everything has a mission. And when I say everything, I mean in our career, in our business, but also in our life. Everything has a mission, and a mission is a reason for existing. If you have relationship, that relationship has a mission. There is a reason why you come together. You may come together for business, you may come together for personal reasons, for romantic reasons, whatever, for friendships, whatever reason you came together, that is the mission of that relationship. And when you think about business, a lot of times we may get to that weary state because we forget the original mission of the business. We forget the original reason why we took on that role. We forget the original reason why we took that risk, because entrepreneurship is about taking risks. So we forget the original reason, the drive, the why we took that risk in the first place. And I want you to tap back into the original reason why you did that in the first place. So the title is Keep the Mission, Change the Message. So we don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. We don't want to throw the whole thing away. We don't want to throw the whole reason away or the whole mission away. We just want to reevaluate and say, okay, I still, if I'm building a nonprofit because I want to support those in the community, I still want to support those in the community. So I'm still building this nonprofit, but I may have to change the method. So I'm not changing the mission, because the mission, I believe, comes from above. So if you have a divine assignment, the assignment doesn't change, but the way that you do it may change. And you may have to sit down and remap that out. But you keep the message. That way you keep the drive and you keep the why and the passion for the dream that you're creating. But you may need to refocus. You may need to sit down and map that out. And there is a process that is required to do that. And I have that process available to you. I've been posting that I'm going to have a course really soon. You can check it on my page. But it may be time for you to refocus, to focus again, to focus maybe in a different direction. Keeping that same mission, though, because the mission doesn't change. You know, your purpose is not going to change over time. You may change your job. You may change what type of business that you run. You may change your address, may change your car, but that purpose that's in you is not going to change. If you're a purpose to speak to the masses, such as I am, that's not going to change. Now, I might speak to the people in the building. I might speak to the people in the restroom at the restaurant. I might speak to people in the store. Let me know if you can identify. I might speak to people in any area. I might speak to them virtually. That doesn't change. But the method might change. I might be speaking on Zoom. I might be speaking in person. But God has given me this charge to share the message. So that's not going to change. Although the method that it's done, it might change. That's how you keep the mission, but slightly may have to change the method. And that requires you to, one, refocus, to get back focused on that thing that you know you're supposed to be doing in this season. That's the first one. And the second one is to restore. What is it that you need to restore? Because it has gotten out of alignment. It has gone to the left. It has gone to the right. It is not in alignment with where you're going. Maybe your attention needs to be restored back to the thing that you're working on because you find yourself scrolling, or you find yourself focused on something that takes you away from what you should be focusing on. So that is where we have to restore. Yes, I get it. And a lot of us need to restore. Myself, starting with me, we have to restore that process that we know we need to have. As we're trusting the process, we have to actually be in the process. So we need to restore that. And then the final one is to reconnect. And where do you need to reconnect? Who do you need to reconnect with? What process do you need to reconnect with? What area do you need to reconnect with? What did you do that was working, but you stopped doing it? And that kind of goes back to, the discipline and the practices. What practices were you doing and they were working, but you just stopped doing them? So they didn't stop working, you just stopped doing them. And maybe you can tap back into and reconnect back to that. I know a lot of us have our health routine going, and then it's working. The healthy eating is working, the working out is working, but we just stopped doing it. So it's not that doesn't work. That's not something that we have to change. It's just something we have to reconnect with, because, that muscle memory, our bodies know what works for us. Our bodies tell us what we need, and we have to reconnect with that. Same thing in business. You have processes that are proven that work, but you may have stopped working the thing that works. And this is the call to action to remind you to reconnect with that which you know works for you. Now, it may not work for me and it may not work for the next person, but there is something that you know works for you, and you need to reconnect with that thing that works for you, right? So tonight we just want to have a quick pop in and talk about refocusing, to getting back in focus, to restoring, and then reconnecting with the process that works for you. We're not changing the mission. We're not throwing the mission away. We're keeping the mission, but we are changing the method. And I want to encourage you to continue with the mission, because that is your mission. That's what you're here for. You don't have to explain it to anyone. You don't have to get anyone's permission. You just want to make sure that you are in alignment with where you're supposed to be, and keeping the mission and changing the method slightly by refocusing, restoring, or reconnecting with that which you already know that works. I hope this message blesses you this evening. Have an amazing evening and the rest of the week. I hope that whatever it is you're seeking in this week, that it manifests and that you see it physically this very week. Have an amazing evening.